Morning, everybody. This is our pleasure to introduce to you our Master of Science degree in Computer Engineering. Today we count with Professor Maurizio Rebaudengo, who is the director of the Collegio, Professor Fulvio Corno, who is the vice director, and me, I'm the delegate for the computer engineering degree in Politecnico di Torino. The presentation of today will be divided in two parts. Initially, I will briefly introduce our master degree, and then we will let the floor open for the questions you would have. In the meantime, if you would like to write your questions in the chat, Professor Maurizio and Fulvio will try to answer while I'm presenting. Okay, now let's start our presentation. Then, the presentation is scheduled in the following outline. First of all, I will very briefly introduce computer engineering degree here in Politecnico di Torino. Then I will present a very quick overview about the job market and showing to you where our ex-alumni are working today in different companies. Then I would like to show you a very brief details about our educational approach, and finally I'll show you the structure of the courses we develop in our master degree. Finally, I will mention something about the student mobility that you would be able to do if you will be enrolled in our master's degrees. Then, let me go on with the presentation, and let me state the following. We consider that computer engineering from Politecnico di Torino should be able to develop, implement, and handle very complex information systems. And what we would expect is to provide to you the possibility in our different specialization tracks to acquire the appropriate knowledge for these goals. In particular, we count today with 7 specialization tracks. The first one that you can notice there is automation and intelligent cyber physical system. In this particular specialization track, our students will acquire the skills in different technologies, allowing them to model very complex systems. These complex systems are then used, for example, in the industry of the vehicle, in the space, and of course, in robotics systems that are very important today. The second track is the one that is named Computer Networks and Cloud Computing. In this particular case, our students will be able to manage, develop, and implement distributed systems. They will acquire, for example, some experience on how to virtualize this kind of system and how to measure the performance of such as systems. In the next one that you can notice there, we have cybersecurity. As you know, today, cybersecurity is very important, since we are also prone of different attacks that can come from very different threat scenarios. In this particular case, what our students will be able to do at the end is to develop and implement hardware and software systems in a security way, developing, for example, security features and analyzing the possible risks that the system will present. The fourth specialization track that we would like to offer to you is the one that is named artificial intelligence and data analytics. In this particular case, our students will acquire the knowledge about artificial intelligence and deep learning. As you know, these topics are very, very hot topics today, and then the students will be able to acquire the knowledge about these interesting and very new topics. Of course, they will apply the theory and practice acquired in trying to extract and classify different kind of information using what we know now as the paradigm of big data analysis. A different track more related to embedded system is actually named in this way, embedded systems. And here what you will find is that we will take particular care of the systems that are named on that way that are present from the cars, for example, home appliances, but also space, train, and avionics applications. On that particular cases, the computer engineer would be able to not only develop the software for such systems, but also decide which hardware components are necessary to use in every one of the case, measuring performance, power consumption, but also additional topics such as reliability and safety and security of that systems. We have also a track that is mainly oriented to graphic and multimedia. In this particular case, our students will, at the end of the process, able to perform rendering of the different processes, virtualization, and of course, we are paying attention also to the new techniques for implementing games. Then, as you will notice in the following slides, we have very interesting and new courses related to gaming. Finally, but not least important, we have a track that is purely devoted to the development and managing of information system from the software point of view. In this particular case, our engineers will be able to pay attention of the architecture of the developed software, and this will be very important because not only big companies are using this kind of system, but also medium and small companies are using these systems. Then let me try to go on with the presentation just for briefly introduce the market sector you will be placed in the next future. Interestingly, what we can notice here is that in Europe, there is a constant increase of the requirement for ICT engineers, then engineers that are, for example, studying computing engineering. Actually, it seems that 16% of the vacancies are not occupied for appropriate engineers, since there are no engineers that can do these kind of works. And then it is necessary to still work on providing you more information in order to occupy these vacancies that rest free. In addition, as you may notice, in a bigger window, if you check here, from 2018 up to 2030, it seems that the forecast say that about 5% of new positions in this market will be open in these future years. And finally, what I would like to show you is that due to the emergency we have now related to COVID, works related with ICT, such as the ones I was mentioned before, are very, very low of risk, as you notice here in this slide. In particular, in Italy, it seems for other studies that every year there are 2.5 new position jobs for ICT engineers, but 25% of them are very difficult to find because these students have not, well, the companies did not find the appropriate persons. In Politecnico di Torino, and in particular in our department, we are very, very happy to mention that at the end of their careers, the students has an almost full occupation, as you may notice for these charts. Of course, our students are not, or our engineers are not only working on computer engineering related companies, but as you may notice for this quick overview, we have engineers working on Google, of course, but also in IBM, ST Microelectronics, Qualcomm, ARM, very different companies that you by sure will be able to target if you are interested on that kind of work opportunities. In addition, we are very happy to say that most of our students mention that at the end, when they are working, they find that the information provided by Politecnico di Torino was useful during their actual jobs. And this is very, very interesting from our point of view. Well, this is also important to mention that the average month salary seems to be a little bit higher than the rest of the ones that we can measure related to the Politecnico di Torino. This is not so bad. It's a very, very interesting also information, I suppose, because it regards your future career. Now, let me briefly introduce which is our educational approach. What we actually consider is that the computer engineers that are going to do one of our different tracks will be able to solve problems and will be able to build things. And more than things, if I can say this, we will build solutions. This is what we expect from our students. Then, as you will notice in the following slides, what we have here is that our students will be able to put together hardware requirements, software requirements, networks, user requirements, and create very good solutions. This is obtained by very balanced information on theory and practice. That's why we consider that laboratories, for example, are very important in our degrees. That's why, as you will notice, most of the courses are provided with theory part and laboratory part that from our point of view is very, very important. It is important also to say that for the most of the tracks we provide to you here, we will have courses taught in English as well as in Italian. Then you will be able to decide which one to take according to your expectations. Most of the courses have also video streaming lectures that will allow you to take the courses in a most easy way. And finally, we will have some mobility tracks that will allow you to go around the world for completing your studies. Those are the specializations I was trying to briefly introduce before. Let me just mention that, as you notice here, the specialization on graphics and multimedia and the specialization on artificial intelligence and data analysis have been updated and strongly renewed in the last year. It is also interesting to notice that for most of our different tracks, we try to renew the different courses in order to keep the pace of the new technologies. Which is the structure of the program of courses? Well, the structure is based in the following. First of all the students will have to take some mandatory courses. Those are 5 to 6 courses according to the different track that the students will take. These courses are, for example, computer architectures, data science and database technology, software engineering, and according to the track, well, web applications and information and system security, for example. Those are mandatory courses that all the computer engineering students should take. After this, we will propose to you qualifying courses for any one of the tracks. Of course, any one of the track have different qualifying courses. Then you may notice that the track in cybersecurity, for example, has 2 courses on cryptography and cybersecurity, and in addition has an additional course on security verification and testing. As you may notice here, you will see that any one of the different tracks has these kind of qualifying and very interesting courses. In the case of the artificial intelligence and data analytics, we have very, very interesting and new courses on machine learning and pattern recognition. Also, there is an advanced course on these topics, and there is also a course on neural networks and deep learning. If you notice also in the track of graphic and multimedia, we have internet video streaming and machine learning for multimedia. Then, as you notice, we are trying to keep the track of the new technologies, updating and renewing all our different specializations. At the end of these courses, the students will have some free choices, but notice that according to the track, we will suggest to you these choices because we consider that those are very important for the different tracks. This is the case again. Let me show you the example of artificial intelligence and data analytics, where you will find, for example, 3 courses on computational intelligence and meteoristics, machine learning in application, and infrastructures and tools for machine learning. You may notice that those are very, very hot topics today. And in the case of graphic and multimedia, we have very new and interesting courses such as game design, GPU programming, and data visualizations. These courses are very new and are trying to keep, as mentioned before, the new technologies pace. Finally, the students will have the possibility to perform their thesis, and they will be able to do a master thesis of 1 semester, 30 credits, or 1 thesis and 1 stage that is split as mentioned here, 12 plus 18 credits. Regarding the mobility, we have many agreements with different universities in Europe and not only in Europe for doing courses, thesis, and also for completing your degree in a different university, having at the end a double degree, as you may notice there. In addition, there are some special possibilities, such as, for example, the ones related to one agreement with the University of Illinois and Eurocom, for example, and there are other possibilities in the way that you can do your thesis, for example, abroad, or you can do only courses as you notice here. I will not go into the details. I would like to thank you for your attention, and as mentioned before, we will open the floor for different questions. Just let me remember to you that you can contact us using this information provided here. You can also use the Telegram group that we will have open in the following months. And in addition, if you would like to have some additional information, in a few days, Politecnico de Torino will offer the ICT days, where we will have some more space for sharing with you some time like this in order to answer to your different questions. Now I let the floor open to your questions. that I'm sure Professor Maurizio Rebaudengo and Fulvio Corno will give me a hand in order to answer to you. Thank you very much. Let me check the questions.
We were a bit distracted because in parallel in the cybersecurity room, we reached the maximum number of students, so we're trying to find a way to let other people join. So there's limitation in the platforms.
Well,
so
then let's check the question.
Let's start in order from Roberto.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's a very open question because what computer engineering, Roberto, can I reply in English? Computer engineering is we may work in very different companies, and you may have in mind programmers as a work, but actually a computer engineer is not a programmer. In many cases, they do project management, they do design of new systems, they do systems engineering, system administration, and basically they're trying to lead the design and development of new application. Then there are the programmers. So maybe some of you will go into more technical work in programming, but it's not just that. Okay, it's more having the complete view, a complete information system. And this is a skill that is needed in every company today. Okay, from the consultancy firms where you go and then just work on information systems, to banks, to mechanical enterprises, whatever. They all have an IT department inside where the computer engineering will go to work. So actually, in all parts, every company today needs an information system, and some people were able to design over it, and so on. Luis Miguel, for students from electronic engineering bachelor, you don't need any extra courses, because for all the courses from the degrees in the ICT sector, which is computer engineering, electronic engineering, communication engineering, and sorry, I need to mute. Sorry, I need to mute the other channel. And management engineering and so on. There are no depths to enroll. So from computer engineering from electronic engineering to computer engineering, there is no extra exams to give.
For Luca, the number of extra courses is more or less 30 credits. But if you want, you can send us an email to the address here reported, and so we can give you more detailed information.
Ernesto, are you familiar with the Eurocom security?
With the Eurocon, I have some experience, but only from the embedded system side, because I know that there are some students that are working on that let's say track. Regarding the security part, I'm not familiar with this, but if the student who is asking this that I lost in the list, I'm sorry for this. Send us an email. We can clarify the main elements via email, if you agree.
Okay, and also maybe in the person who is following the cybersecurity degree here with Professor Basile will be able to respond through the chat if you want more details about that. Okay. the difference between this course and communication and computer network engineering, I think they are quite different. Just focus on the name networks engineers. So is more that degree is more on the telecommunication side, on the say propagation, communication, and all maybe the lower layers of the communication networks. Okay, it's not computer engineering, but computer networks engineering. So the design of the network from the point of view of the physical, so antennas, wires, protocols, and so on, and the logical layers. Okay, while we are more, we also have the degrees in networks, the computer networks, but we are more focused on from the say protocol level on top, so creating internet working, creating distributed applications, creating software that will use this network capability. So we would say that CCNE, computer and communication network engineering, is on the lower layers of the connectivities, and the computer engineering is on top of that, creating applications and distributed systems out of that. Of course, there is some overlap, but the focus is quite, from the professional focus is quite different. Andrea is asking about the difference between data analytics, artificial intelligence, and data science master's degree. Again, here there are some overlap of the topics, but the focus is again to create two different kinds of professionals. From data analytics and artificial intelligence track inside computer engineering, you are first a computer engineering. Okay, so all the informatics you will know from with detail, and you will be able to understand the artificial intelligence algorithms and also the systems that provide data analysis. You'll be able to design and give a good dimensioning to the hardware and software components that will run the algorithms. So the focus is more on creating and managing an AI system and creating and managing a data processing system. While the data science and engineering degree is more focused, of course, on knowing that the same algorithms and technologies, but more from the user point of view, from the application point of view. So it's not much into the technology for making, I don't know, big data scalable, but more for what kind of operation, what kind of data inference you can do once you have the system in place. So from one point, in computer engineering, you're more focused on the technology, and in data science engineering, you're more focused on the application. There are several courses also that deal with the application domains in which data analysis is applied.
The last question is difficult to answer.
Artificial intelligence and automation, so we said the difference between data analytics and automation simplification systems. Well, the automation simplification system is mainly for automation control applications. So the control application of control systems, of robotics, of movable devices and automatic mechanical systems, let's say. So we will learn all the techniques for having a robust control of these devices. And that, of course, in the modern times, maybe imagine a robot, they will also have some computer vision on board and some artificial intelligence to understand what the robot is doing. So this is one component into the big framework of robotics and control. And in AI, there is no actually knowledge of the control part. It's more on the data analysis and image analysis. So it's more general applications outside, let's say, the robotics fields. And the other case, you have all the robotics background plus a bit of, say, computer vision and artificial intelligence. Depends, of course, on your interests. Interest in artificial intelligence and automation. both of them. Just remember that we have the flexibility in our degree. Okay, we have these 7 different paths, but you can cross some courses from one to the other. Okay, all the courses that are marked with the choice can also be replaced with choices taken from other paths over degree. So we are proposing 7 different paths that we have designed with some consistency in mind. But if your interested is crossing 2 different paths, you can construct your own personalized, say, learning path in the degree. There's a lot of flexibility built into this structure. The first year is basically common except one course, but in the second year you have a lot of flexibility.
So you can ask a mixed personal path, okay? You can ask to change, to modify the official path. And so usually the requests, if are motivated, are accepted in general. So you can try to do your personal path. I think that there are any other questions. So, and also time is over, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
Remind you to join the Telegram groups that are mentioned here, so that we can continue the discussion. Marco, you can ask these questions doing the request is part of the Carico Didattico area. So you ask for a Carico Didattico, a personalized one, and then it will be evaluated by some professors.
Of course, after the enrollment, you can first enroll, and then you have to complete your program, personal program, which could be one of the official ones, or you can ask for some modification, usually 1, sometimes, but not usually 2, at most 2.
Okay, and so the Telegram groups and also the ICT days in 2 weeks, where we will have more time and also more flexibility, to discuss with you and to answer your questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye to everybody.
Bye.